I've been working 20 hours. Obviously, it's hard, but it's very rewarding because you feel important. You feel good. You feel you're doing the right thing in your life. I feel complete with this.
This episode is brought to you by FultonFishMarket.com, the most trusted name in seafood. FultonFishMarket.com is the e-commerce provider for New York's iconic Fulton Fish Market, the largest seafood market in the Western Hemisphere, trusted by top chefs for over 200 years. Fulton Fish Market provides a range of world-class seafood options. FultonFishMarket.com can help you serve a wide range of customers, whether you serve high-profile individuals or just strive for culinary excellence. They deliver directly to your doorstep in all 48 contiguous states, providing a comprehensive selection of the finest seafood, from wild fish to caviar and shellfish. When it comes to seafood, FultonFishMarket.com is our go-to destination and the name we trust. Let's celebrate those who support us and dive into this episode of the Private Chef podcast with a taste of excellence and freshness. Visit www.fultonfishmarket.com to get 15% off your first order. Use code PrivateChef at checkout. Welcome to the Private Chef podcast, serving the 1%. I'm your host, Hannes Henche. And on our show, we speak to the best chefs, how they honed in on their skills to excel in the industry, and what it takes to work as a private chef for some of the most exclusive clients in the world. Welcome back to the Private Chef podcast. I'm your host, Hannes Henche, and today we have Chef Matias, who's currently in Valencia. He has worked for ultra-high net worth individuals and very famous top athletes. He had the privilege to work in different restaurants and has worked in different countries. So he has an ocean of experience. Welcome to the show, Matias.
Thank you to receive me, Hans. This is a pleasure to be here with you and spend this time with you. It's really an honor to me that you receive me in your podcast.
Of course. I mean, you've earned it. You know, it's all the proof is in the pudding, and you've done the work. So now we can share all the anecdotes and the funny stories that we have at Private Chef.
Of course. It's going to be really, really, really nice.
So where did your love or your original journey in the kitchen start?
My journey in the kitchen started. I was raised in a small family. I come from Argentina. So basically, my grandmother, she was chef, working for a really wealthy family in Mendoza. They were the owner of a winery, the family. The winery is a Gargantini winery. So she was chef there, working for them for many, many, many years. I didn't know this until 10 or 12 years ago when my mom told me. And obviously, I was raised with this. My grandmother was cooking amazing, homemade food, a lot of pasta, homemade. My grandfather, he has a veg plot in the house. So basically we were picking the food, fresh, organic, nice. My grandmother was making amazing, tasty food. So I think I got this from them, basically.
Yeah, that's nice. You know, it runs in the family. In a similar way, it was for me. There is always food around me and everybody knew how to cook. So I think that really leaves an imprint on people. So how did the journey go from Argentina to so many different places like Switzerland and now living in Spain?
Because obviously, if you want to be a chef, you need to be in situ and to learn in situ how to cook properly the food. Obviously, I went to the college, I studied, I got my foundation degree or my degree or whatever, or culinary arts diploma. And obviously, this is not enough. You need to go and work with the best chef ever that you can do. In that case, I started with Francis Malman. He's an emblematic chef. Chef in Argentina. So I remember I was 17 or 18. I was 18. No, sorry. I was 18. I was 18. I was on my first year at the college. So I knocked his door many, many times. Now his wife, because he's married with the manager now. His wife, he said, but you're too small, you're too young, but I don't care. I want to work here. I'm coming to work for free. because I want to work for Francis Malman. Many times he was saying, but you're too young, And, I keep knocking the door until she said, okay, we're going to accept you and you're going to take an apprentice for us. Okay, so I was really happy working my 3 or 6 months in apprentice with them. And obviously, I took a little job working as assistant pastry chef. And that was my first experience working in a top-notch restaurant with clients from around the world. I remember at those times, the problem was many clients was knocking the door in the kitchen. I was in the pastry and they speak in English, obviously, and my English on those times was crap. And I was ashamed I couldn't have a proper conversation with the client because they were trying to talk to me properly and I had a very crap level of English. So in that moment, after that restaurant, of course, I started working for another places to get more money because you are working in this kind of places only to take the knowledge and improve your CV. I knew that being in Mendoza or in Argentina is not enough if you want to be a chef. Because obviously I wanted to be a chef because I remember when I was a kid watching the TV show in Gourmet, the Gourmet channel of the chef making some preparation and say, wow. I was wow. And I was impressed of that. And this is why I decided I need to go to another place. And the easiest way for me was coming from Spain because it's the same language. And after a while working here, I spoke to a friend now. My friend, he has a Michelin star restaurant here in Valencia. He told me, we're working with Quique da Costa now. And that's that point, I have a nice salary in that restaurant. And I was thinking myself, what I'm doing. I was 24 in those times. What I'm doing with my life. So I started applying for Mugaritz, Martin Berazategui, El Bulli, all the best of the best. And they have a waiting list of 1 or 2 years. And you need to stay there and working for free. Obviously, you need to be there working for free. I spoke to Arsac, Juan Mari Arsac. His doctor, she told me, okay, we can take you because we see that you are interested and you are passionate, but you need to stay working for us for 1 year. As I was saying, I don't have money to maintain myself staying 1 full year working for free. I don't have the money. So then I spoke to Martin Berazategui and he opened his restaurant for me and to have an apprentice for 3 months. And after a while, I spoke to another, colleagues that they've been there and they told me, maybe you can find a better place. You're gonna be treated better instead of going there. So I got another invitation to go to the Guggenheim and I went to the Guggenheim. It's the Grupo X, Luis Antonio Duri is the owner. So I stayed there for, I don't remember, 6 months. Obviously, this is a life-changing. I don't know if I learned a lot of skill, but I learned a lot of to be disciplined. It's a lot of discipline. Michelin is discipline. It's like military discipline. So I think that from that time, my life changed. Definitely my life changed. I improved myself. I think that from that time, I was nothing. Obviously, after that, I went working to 5-star hotels running by Martin Berazategui, and the coincidence as well. And after that time, I got a job in a yacht. I got my first job in a yacht. For 2 years, I was serving celebrities, like I met Arantxa Sanchez, the tennis player. And I was working for a really nice family from Switzerland. And that was my time to show what can I do and if I like this job. And obviously, I like it. I like to deliver top food. After that time, I met my wife. And by those times, she was in London. And she told me, look, we cannot have a relationship in distance. So you need to come to London. So I went to London and I started working in the City Social. The owner is Jason Atherstone. Again, very, very disciplined place. I love to work in this kind of environment. Obviously, it's amazing. And this is why I'm being traveling, because I want to improve myself. And obviously in London and in England, I start cooking like Vietnamese, Thai food. I discovered a lot of new flavors I didn't know before. I was used to Mediterranean, Italian, Spanish, and that's it. No. In England, I met everything. I met Indian, Vietnamese, and this gave me like, wow.
Yeah, and those flavors come in really handy as a private chef too, when you have a little bit of a palette to work from.
Yes, that was very useful for me to be working in this kind of, in England basically, because in England it's the capital of the food. London, it's amazing. And you can taste the real food as they cook. I don't know, you go to a Peruvian restaurant and they cook as they cook in Peru. You go to a Thai restaurant and they cook as they cook in Thailand. You go to an Indian nice restaurant and they cook like as they cook in India. That was amazing.
What was your segue into the private space?
In 2022, last year, I decided to go back because, as we were talking before, I was working in a restaurant as executive chef to improve the place. The owner hired me to improve the place because he had really, really, really bad reviews. He didn't have a working system. He had untrained staff, no trained. So I don't know, he heard from one supplier. I have a meeting with him and I decided to start working with him and took it as a challenge. I said to myself, I'm going to use this as my business. So this is kind of training for myself. So I need to be good with budget. I need to be good with training staff, deliver good food, and to change everything, outside, looking, everything as it was mine. So honestly, the place was awful. Nowadays, I had a meeting with the owner last week. Last week I had a meeting and he told me, you won't believe this. We have 2,500 reviews on our Google, reviews page. We have 4.8. We are the top rated restaurant in Valencia County. He said, and this is true. He said, not even Quique da Costa have the same rate that we have. I don't know if I feel good or not, but one of the girls I have working for me there, she was kind of chef de party or commis, I don't know, because I trained with no chef experience, with no college, with no training. She's managing the place now as a head chef. So I like to teach. This is why I try to be working as a lecturer chef, but I haven't had the chance yet. So in those times, what point I was seeing myself, I was spending money to go to work and I didn't have a decent cash flow, and the customer didn't appreciate my job because, as we were talking before, you have a Kobe beef or you have a nice beef and you put in you temper or you put in the CB to serve this, medium and a nice tender juicy beef with a nice garnish, and the customer tells to you and send the food back to you and say, I want this well done, I want no blood, and you say, oh my gosh, I'm striving to get the best ingredients possible. I am fighting with the supplier to have the best ingredients possible, to have the best price possible for the owner. And I don't feel rewarded here because obviously you're not getting an amazing salary. You have just a little amount of money at the end of the day after paying everything, your bills and everything. It's not worth it. This is why at some point I said to myself, I need to go back to the industry. So obviously I sent a couple of CVs. I didn't say anything to my wife. When I already have the jobs, brand new jobs that they gave me the job, I passed the interview, with the recruiter, with the captain, and then with the owners. And when I already passed the interview with the owners, so I knew it. that I was successful for this interview, I said to my wife, in 1 week time, I'm leaving. Yeah, no.
Sorry, honey, I'm on the yacht for the season.
Yes, and I started the journey this because I knew that was the chance to work in a place that I was going to be appreciated much better than working in a land-based short position here in Spain. Nowadays jobs here are worthless. It's not worth it. The people here, the owners of the restaurant are not looking for chefs. They're looking for monkeys to work for peanuts. So obviously, I'm not going to spend my, 20, 21 years, many years experience to delivering my energy to a place I'm not appreciated.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point you're making, is that we also have to look at our time and the energy, the little bit of life we have, so much experience, so much.
Yes.
We cannot put that effort into just a random business where there's no appreciation, there is no care, there's no financial reward that you like. I always want to feel like there needs to be something. Either you need to learn a lot, or you need to be appreciated a lot, or you need to earn a lot. Like something needs to be there in order for it to be a rewardful job environment.
I am completely agree with you. I'm always took this same that you said, or I am learning a lot, which is not the point here working in any place because I'm knowledgeable. I think that chef, I don't know if you are a fan of Star Wars. I don't know do you like Star Wars?
I'm familiar, but I'm not like a big fan.
Okay, you're familiar. So I don't know, the Jedi, have you seen the Jedi's lifestyle? They are dedicated all the life to doing this. So at some point, I think that chef, we are Jedis. Because you dedicate your life. True. You dedicate your life for this.
Yeah.
So this is why I decided to come here, and I met amazing people during this year, and they thank me. This is amazing. They pay me a really nice money. They pay me a nice wage, and they thank me. They say something that
this is
I never heard that before. Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I felt the same way when I shifted from restaurants, like whether it's Europe or New York. Nobody really ever thanks you. It's just like very rarely a customer came in. Actually, in New York, we had more so there was like a little bit of a thing where they would bring in certain clients and we would take maybe a picture with them. And occasionally you would have that little sense of appreciation. But I think that's something I really liked when I turned private, is that if you have the right clients to work with, you'd be surprised. They actually thank you for the dinner. There's a sense of appreciation. And as you said, there's also a different wage.
Yes, it's absolutely different. We're not going to say that you're not working. Obviously, you're working long hours. I've been working 20 hours. Obviously, it's hard, but it's very rewarding because you feel important. You feel good. You feel you're doing the right thing in your life. I feel complete with this, People don't understand, Whatever it's not a chef, I am chef. You don't say, and you cook? No, I'm chef. I know about budgeting. I know about managing people. I know about a lot of different cuisines. I speak few languages. I'm chef. I've been traveling around the world. I am chef. This is the difference. And this is why I decided I need to go where I'm going to be happy. And here I'm happy. I'm happy doing this. And now, working as a freelance, it's different. You're meeting new clients. I've been working for royal families. As you listen, I don't know. In the latest was Roger Federer family. You don't find this kind of people working in a normal restaurant. And again, they say thank you. They say thank you.
Yeah. I think that's just an important piece. And in fact, even in a restaurant, I think the good leaders in general, whether it's in the restaurant industry or elsewhere, they know how to appreciate people. And something as little as thank you, I think, is often something that chefs are deprived of. Like the first restaurant I worked at had literally zero appreciation ever. Like it almost felt like I had to beg for my salary.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
instead of the salary being normal, it is almost like I have to kneel down in front of my boss and be like, thank you so much for giving me a tiny salary for all my hard work.
I saw that this was only in Spain. You know, Spain now is terrible. It's bad, seriously bad. It's really, really bad. I didn't know that was happening the same in United States, New York. So I'm sorry to hear
Well,
that.
it depends. The worst pay ever I got in Germany initially, and it was actually in my apprenticeship, and before, so it was a 1-star Michelin restaurant, and I had a contract at a different restaurant before. But then I had the opportunity, like just 4 weeks into my apprenticeship, the door opened to go to 1-star Michelin instead of the restaurant I worked at. But the restaurant I worked at was famous for really treating their apprentices well, you know, having everything by the rules, and, you know, you get all your days off and everything, and you get time to practice for school and all those things. It was like the perfect learning environment from the school.
Mm-hmm.
But the 1-star Michelin, you know, offered me a different level of experience. The school told me, are you sure you want to do this? The 1-star Michelin restaurant you want to work at has a really, really bad reputation as an employer. Like they really don't treat their people well. And I was like, I don't care how they treat people. I just want to learn.
Okay.
And I knew that they could teach me a lot more than the other place, despite the circumstances being a lot worse. And every other month in school, I noticed that I was running and learning at a different speed than all the people in my class, because I was working literally 2.5 times as much as them in a better restaurant. So I was putting in the hours, but at the same time, I didn't get a penny more than a regular apprentice in the other restaurants. So I was working for 2.5 times less money per hour too. Yes. But I did it all for the learning. You know, I never looked at it like the hourly wage was so bad, man. You cannot look at it this way. Just like when you went to Malman. And by the way, anybody listening, if you haven't seen the Netflix show with Francis Malman, it's amazing, and it gives you a good insight. So definitely watch that.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah. After that, if you're a chef, you definitely want to work with him, and if you're not a chef, you want to eat from him.
Yes, the restaurant was amazing.
You know, actually, it's very funny. One of my clients this season,
yes,
he was like, Hannes, we have to do it like Francis Malman, and he ordered himself the book. And then we were standing on the whole property, and he was like, so where can we do this? And then he ordered I don't know the English word, but those
to hang in the chicken and the
metal.
Yes.
Yeah. So he ordered a bunch of different materials from Home Depot, and we were just standing out there and stripping it all up. And there were a couple of days where I was just like barbecuing for 12 hours, 14 hours, you know, like setting the coal up and everything. And you can only do that if somebody is really excited about it, because like it takes so much effort, so much care, and so much love. If you don't feel that somebody really loves the outcome of it, after you spend so much time doing it, smoking yourself up, then you will be very heartbroken.
Yes. Yes, and you do it. Of course, I'm sure that you did, because you want your client to be happy. You know, this is what happened to me when you have a last minute order from your clients. When we were talking before, you're expecting 6 people for dinner, but then you realize there is 18. So what do? You want to be positive, you want to laugh, and you want to rush to the shop, I don't know, and if you need to kill a pigeon, you will kill a pigeon, but you will be happy. You make happy your client because it's your client, and they appreciate your job. This is why we're doing this with all our hearts.
Yeah, and it's, you know, you really have to do it from the heart. It takes a certain attitude, otherwise you cannot do it. Because if somebody tells you that they basically want a different dinner, or there so many more guests coming,
Happens.
and it will drive you insane if you don't have the right attitude.
Yeah, it happened. It happened. This is why I think the best thing that you can do is first to know your client. You need to know your client, what they like, how they eat, what their preferences are, and how many ads, how many friends they have. You need to have this information. To then you can store stuff. I don't know. For example, my client, I know that he loves truffle. He loves truffle, and sometimes in the year, you know, you don't have truffle. So what you want to do? You want to buy this summer crab truffle that smell nothing. You're going to buy a tartuffe, a puree. You're going to buy and truffle oil, and you want to make a truffle whatever dish requested at the time for your client. This is what you're doing. You need to push.
Yeah, that's really what. If you learn how to kind of extract their favorite dishes out of them in a positive way. I mean that extracting in the sense of getting to know them, knowing them well, and you always have those things handy that you know when to pull from. You know, like for example, if you know you have somebody that loves truffle, you should always have some kind of truffle backup. You know, obviously you can't always have fresh white truffle. It's not always in season and so, but there's different versions of truffle, whether it's, you know, truffle oil or canned, or, you know, you have winter truffles and different summer truffles that you can have handy to play with that flavor profile that they appreciate.
This is why, first of all, for me, the most important thing is to have a interview your clients. For example, one day I have a really important royal family from Eastern, and I want to mention, from Eastern, and I have a call with the prince. What do you like? What do you prefer? What's your preference? How many people? And you start figuring out, okay, he likes rice, he likes lamb, he doesn't eat pork, you know, halal, you know, you start making, and then you do the shopping, you do your dry store, and you put everything, just in case. If you don't want to use it, it doesn't matter, but you need to have everything, because these people expecting to ask you stuff in the very last minutes, and they wanted to make it done, and you need to be positive, because they might recommend you another client or not, or it doesn't matter. You need to have a positive image from them. This is interesting, you know, working with this kind of people.
Sorry for the interruption, but we gotta share the news with you. Nothing Fishy from FultonFishMarket.com. They're delivering world-class seafood from New York City's legendary Fulton Fish Market straight to your door. Their fishmongers have helped countless chefs get what they need when they need it for over 200 years. Trusting FultonFishMarket.com means their experts work tirelessly to make your day run smoothly. Let your cooking skills shine and elevate your dishes with amazing seafood from FultonFishMarket.com.
Well, I remember one day one client told me, I want a cake, and I want it now. Like my kids, you know.
You know, sometimes I actually think kids and our clients are kind of similar, without putting the clients down or putting the kids down.
Yes.
You know, my sister has 2 kids, and sometimes when I look at the demands they have, it reminds me of my workplace, or some of the work that, like, it's just a little bit more funny when it's kids, because you can be like, okay, come on, they're kids. Yes. It's unreasonable, but they're kids, you know. But then I see the same behavior with fully grown individuals.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm not going to drink from this cup, and I don't want this placemat, and no, and last minute changes, and it really, it's such an interesting thing to see. Sometimes I call kids tiny tyrants. You know,
yes, it's true.
They're a little bit unreflected and not very well emotionally regulated. So they will just speak their mind, and they will demand things now.
Yes.
But then sometimes, if you have somebody who's really empowered through money,
yes,
they can actually live this.
Yes, yes.
Despite their age, they don't need to be emotionally regulated because in their little bubble they can behave whichever way they want. And not to say that any client is like this, but there is clients like that
there are clients
that
like
just
this.
Have the money and they use it in a way to act as emotionally unregulated and unreflected. And it's very interesting because the more I'm around kids, I see the kind of how it's very similar.
Yes, absolutely. I have a kid. I have a 5-year girl. And she's acting like this. And sometimes when I hear a client, it's the boss, it's your client, your boss. Speaking your kids, you say, oh my gosh, oh my God, I want a cake. I want this now. Okay. Maybe sometimes you don't have it. Many times I felt really difficult, when the steward is serving me. Of course, the steward or somebody is serving the table while you're cooking, and the steward or the waitress or the waiter come to you and say, oh my God, Mr. Something, asking for the prawns. Which prawns? We're making a barbecue. We're making a beef barbecue. Yeah. He said that he's expecting and waiting for the prawns. I'm very, afraid. I'm shaking and, nervous. I say, okay, I'm going to have a chat. So you go and speak to your client, and you don't say that you don't have and you're not gonna make it. And you need to make it happen. And at the end of the day, it happens, because many people don't know how to deal with this kind of kids or grown kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you need to speak a certain way and sell them on what you have available.
You're selling. Yes, I feel like
what's
selling.
Possible, Yeah. Like we used to have, and that's the first restaurant I worked in Germany. We used to have, it wasn't really on the menu, but a cheese plate. So instead of desserts, people could order cheese plates. And we had really good cheese always there, just in case if somebody wanted it. But the waiter knew that the team in the back doesn't like to do it. So if the kitchen was already clean and the chef was basically ready to leave and somebody asked for cheese plate, the waiter would be like, it's not really on temperature. It wouldn't be recommended to serve it like that. It would take another 30 minutes to bring the cheese to room temperature to serve it the way it's supposed to be served.
Yes.
And you kind of sweetly talk the client out of what he wanted.
Yes. Yes.
And then you're offering them a dessert or a coffee or something
or
different.
Something different. Yes. Yeah. In a positive way, Yeah, sometimes it's different. I think that it's about mindset, about negotiation. I'm still learning. I don't know how to negotiate. Many times I feel like I'm crap negotiating. But during this time, I don't know. I have a lot to learn. But always I'm trying to negotiate with the clients. When they have a change mind or when we set in the menus, trying to make it easy for me. Because you need, maybe you don't have enough storage, which has happened many times. Or maybe your meat or your fish is off because the storage is not good. Yes, it happened to me. You know how many kilos of fish and lamb and meat I chuck overboard now this summer, a lot. And you're counting, and also you're counting with this. And you need to make it happen, You need to make it happen. This is your key, to make it happen. Whatever it is.
Storage is a funny one.
You need to make it happen.
I guess especially on a yacht, but even on land, storage can be such a tricky limitation on what you can do for the...
Always, yeah. I think that these architects that are designing the yachts and the chalets or the villas, I don't know what they're thinking, these yachts.
Well, they're not thinking about functionality and execution. I've been in so many pretty kitchens.
Yes.
And I'm like, in one of the kitchens I had to work in, the architect or the kitchen planner, they literally forgot to put a trash can in the kitchen. There was nowhere in the original plan, there was no trash can in the kitchen. I'm like, guys, what are you planning?
I don't know. I don't know what they're studying, but I think that when designing I think always the architects when they are designing a kitchen or a galley for a boat or a kitchen for anything, you need to be supervised by the chef, by a proper chef, because yes, they are not functional, and they're expecting you to serve, I don't know, 18, 25 people, different menu, kids menu, adult menu, wine pairing in 1 meter square place where you don't have storage, you have just one fridge. Yes, this boat, I was complaining, and I sent to the architect to do some improvement, and I left before the season, very nice, and they called me back. Yes, they called me back immediately after 1 month. They said, Matias, are you able to come back? We want you to come back. And they didn't do the stuff that I asked to make. And the thing is, you don't have space. You need to count every single space. I remember the fridge. I have a picture. Maybe I will send you after. I have only one fridge. And I tape on the door the salads. I tape the door. This is really funny, because I have only one fridge, and you need to use every single meter square. And I put a lot of blue tape on the door of the fridge. And this is what you need to do. I don't know. You need to be resourceful.
Yeah, resourceful is a good word. That sometimes I'm really wondering what they're thinking. Like, I have a fridge right next to my oven, but because maybe they like the glass on it or something, they'll put the beverages next in that, and then I have to walk across the room to the other side, to the other fridge, because that's now the fridge for the food. And I'm like, guys, I understand.
Yes.
But then there was another time where I had a nice fridge next to my kitchen area that they also only wanted for beverages and milk. So they have a 1.5 fridge unit. It's just for beverage and milk. But then my fridge for more stuff was in the basement and another one in the garage.
Yes.
And I'm like, people, like, why would you do that?
I don't know. If you are in a house or in a home or in a chalet or in a villa, you have kind of resources. You can put stuff over there. But if you are in a boat, like when I was the first time I was in this boat, I checked how many people we want to have on board. That was too much. It was more than 20. Obviously, I didn't have 1 meter square kitchen. Very small freezer. Same in the freezer, so I had to manage. So I started making calculation about the food that I was going to need, and I said, okay, I need to put the freezer in the crew mess, and I took the measuring tape, and I started calling many people, suppliers, and I put the freezer in the crew mess because it's not good, and I could manage to do a nice season, Also with the fruit and vegetables, I didn't have space to storage all the food on the kitchen and on the galley. So what I did, pile up lots of boxes from IKEA, make holes, with a drill. I drill, I don't know, put potatoes, put tomatoes, put some stuff that can stay outside of the fridge 2-3 days, 4 days, and you need to make it happen. And I did like that. Here, the latest, I put in my toilet some fruit. If I need to put something, on my bed, the cabin for the crew is very small. You need to do it. Sometimes I don't know how how I manage to make this, but it happens, and I need to make it true because your client is important.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Yeah. So before we got going, you mentioned one word which rings kind of home for me, which is freedom, and that that you did start investing in real estate
Yes.
to, you know, have more options in life. And I think this is an interesting topic for chefs, because honestly, my personal belief is that anybody working as a private chef can become financially independent if they're smart with their money.
Yes. Yes. This is why I came back to here, because always I like to be like entrepreneurs and to make business. And at some point, I wanted to open my restaurant, but you know, the margin profit that you can get from that is not worth it. So this is why I'm here now. And in terms of investment, I started learning about how to study proper good companies, invest in this, and obviously the most profitable and safe investment are properties, you know, and rent it on Airbnb or rent it on, I don't know, for 4 rooms or whatever. Now I'm going to buy a garage. This is the way, and you need to be smart. We don't know what's happening in the future. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, maybe you are your whole life in a place paying for a pension. Maybe it's not going to happen. We don't know. But I don't want to stay until 70 years or working in a place like, you know.
Yeah.
This job is really
see
hard.
Sometimes chefs, I see chefs that are like the age of my parents, and I see them struggling even just to do the shopping, you know, like just to get the groceries into the car. And I'm like, you just have to prepare yourself for that. Like, I don't want to be the chef that has to go to work at 65 because I wasn't smart with my money today.
Yes. You know, the time flies. Now with intelligent, you know, with the AI now, what's happening now with the AI? Maybe we're going to have, I don't know, robots. Maybe in 2 years' time. We don't know. You know, everything.
I'm not so sure how far away we are from a functional home robot, but I think it's going to happen. And I think there will be a form of robotic version of food production at home. And that might not be like a robot that moves like a chef. But, you know, one of my chefs, Daniel Boulou, he already invested into a company out of Boston, Massachusetts. They started building robotics kitchens. They're limited to certain dishes. But, you know, there's this thing is, it already exists for basics. Like there's a McDonald's in Texas, which doesn't have any employees. Then there is they build it's a box, huge box, which basically makes pizzas. And there's different models. Some of them stand and then they become delivery. There's another model where I see it's like a truck, a pizza truck that delivers the pizzas. But there's a lot of the stuff which is robotic and semi-robotic. But I think one of the last places where people will want a real chef is on the fine dining level. And I think in private households.
I don't know. If they discover this, we're done. I know in Boston there is a restaurant. Everything is prepared by the robots. You know, I think that the recipe has been made for, I don't remember the chef. Bolut. How saying? Bolut is the surname.
Yeah, Daniel Boulou.
Daniel Bolut. Okay, so Daniel Bolut plus the MIT, they designed this restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's cooking, like doing like walks and healthy stuff, a la minute, like a McDonald's. So you come and you said what you want, and you have a healthy, fresh food prepared a la minute with the robots. It's, I don't know, kind of engineering stuff. So it's happening. But at the level of fine dining, not yet. So I don't know. This is why we need to be smarter, and we need to be faster, and we need to invest properties. We need to invest in something that we can have, I don't know, something to have money in the future. Are you agree? Are you agree? Yeah.
But again, I still think that if you're a talented private chef with an attitude to serve,
yes, this
goes. I think there's still many decades of service in this industry where people don't want to have a robot that is very, simplistic in the initial stages. Like, I think the very sophisticated version of a robot that would cook for you at home is a little bit further out.
I think yes, but because when it comes to cook for my client, I cook with my soul, I cook with my heart, I cook with my feelings, and a robot doesn't have feeling, And when I'm trying a sauce or when I'm trying something, always you're trying and thinking, okay, I'm going to improve this with this because this is going to pair with this, and you're thinking in the canapes, and you're thinking how to finish with the dessert. And maybe you want to pair with a wine that your client have in the wine fridge. A robot, I don't know, it's far away from this,
I don't think so, honestly. I think what you just said is one of the easiest things for the robot to do, because it can just go into the entire data of the internet and extract everything you just said based on all of the content and the data and the cookbooks. And it might not do it out of its own understanding. It might not be, oh, this wine pairs well with this. But it can definitely do it on the amount of data existing, and it can crunch more cookbooks in a split second than you can do in a lifetime.
I'm not sure. For example, I don't know have you ever prepared the same dish, and maybe for those time you was very happy, and maybe for another time you wasn't really happy, and the flavor and the impression from the guest is different. I don't know if have you ever happened to you, but it happened to me. Like, I don't know, many times I did paella. It's very common here in Valencia.
I think there's something to that, and I think anybody who has had a grandma who's cooked with a lot of love for them knows what you're talking about.
As we have, yes. So I think that robots are far away from this. Maybe they can repeat my recipe, but
I agree. I think they're far away from that, but at the same time, I think also a lot of chefs are away from that, because if you go by that, most kitchens are very hostile.
Yes. Because I don't know. I wonder many times. We're talking about to put your food to put your soul in your food and deliver the good experience to the client. And many times I've been wondering how the Michelin they manage to deliver. I don't know, because the environment of a Michelin star is crazy. You hear the plates crashing against the wall. Always a lot of shouts, a lot of bad environment. I think that the clients, how is possible that the clients are enjoying this food if someone is sad, nervous, stressed, cooking something for you? I don't know.
See,
this is a good question.
I spent a year in India where they speak about the energy you put into the food, and even water. When they consume water,
yes.
They actually don't like it if it's just straight from the faucet or something. They think of approaching it with a certain sense of sanctity, and by that I don't mean like the young Indians. It's more like the traditional ones, and that you have to have a certain way of being yourself and receiving and being with food. And that it's very important how you are in the kitchen and the cooking process and how you are when you eat it. And when I was looking at that, I was like, wow, in the European kitchens, it's completely different. Like most chefs in fine dining restaurants, they are angry, or as you said, they're nervous or stressed. So the energy that's going into the food based on that understanding is completely screwed up, and it's actually you wouldn't want to eat it based on that.
Yes. I don't know. In some point, I have to say that I believe this. As you're talking about the Indian, recently I've been in India. In February I went with my wife, and I like it. At some point, I like it. India, and at some point I didn't like it, but in terms of energy that you're talking about the water and everything, I do believe in this. I think that this is true. And this is why I don't understand in the fine dining restaurant. I've been working for this chef, checking this. What are, a lot of bad words and shouts and stress and treating the staff like, I don't know, sailors from the, 50 centuries. 12th centuries, like pirates,
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder. But I think it speaks to why people are not happy to be the monkeys that you said they are looking for in the kitchen anymore. Like people, I give you an example. I was working with my boss, my old boss, Daniel Boulou, this summer, just for
Really, he
one
was your
night. We had
boss.
a catering in Southampton.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had, so Jean Georges was there, Eric Repair, and Daniel Boulou is 3 chefs. And we catered for a private event at the private household in the Hamptons. And it was very interesting to see that. So we were a couple of private chefs who came from the friends of the family's estates. And then we were a couple of restaurant chefs. And to be honest, the private chefs looked a lot more healthy and relaxed than the restaurant chefs. They were burned out. They were pale.
Yes.
They were like,
Yes.
you could see that there was like a fundamental level of health missing in their system.
They're missing health, they missing flavor, they missing because they are obviously, if you feel sad, if you're not happy, if you feel sick, if you feel hungry, you cannot deliver a good experience as we are delivering as a private chef, I think this is impossible. You need to, I don't know, like a musician, how do you think that they made this success with these songs amazing? Because they are in the smooth, they are in the vibration, they are in the happiness. As a chef, it's the same.
I was just at a Coldplay concert, and in this tour they are on right now, they're giving way over 150 concerts in one tour. Then I was wondering, how do they do that? Because the songs, they do sound like they're giving it them all. The emotions are there for I didn't feel that my performance was any worse than maybe what I've seen already online. And maybe there's certain concerts to them that are more special. I'm sure playing in Sao Paulo is a different experience than just going to another American city.
Yes.
But at the same time, for example, Elton John is famous for really giving amazing live performances. And they have to have the ability to be in that state every time they sing the same song. You have to get yourself into that state. And for a chef, I think it's a bit similar. Not to say that I compare myself to Elton John in any way.
No, I understand.
If I go to work and I'm not in that state, I know I can't deliver, even if I use the same recipe, what you said earlier, and that's something where I'm trying to be very aware of how I am and what I do around work so that I go into work knowing that I can deliver.
Yes. I'm absolutely agree with you. It's experience because everything is. I do believe this in vibration, emotion, and if you are in the right place that you feeling, when you're cooking, I don't know if it's happened to you, but when you're cooking, you're feeling this, and you have the emotion and the vibration. In Spanish, we say something like you are in la salsa, and I don't know. Translation is you are in your sauce. It means you are in the right smooth vibration and happiness. This is your happy time to doing this. And you're working. And if you work like this constantly, for sure, something good is going to happen. So in this case, like you said, I'm not comparing to Elton John or Chris Martin. It's the same. We are delivering a sensation, emotions, feelings. The clients, they feel this.
Yeah. Well, Matias, this has been a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for making the time. Where can people connect with you?
Okay, thanks to you, Hans. I'm really, really happy to spend this amazing hour with you. It has been a pleasure, and I feel really nice for today. Thanks to you.
Yeah, of course, anytime. Where can people connect with you? You have Instagram channel, LinkedIn, or?
Yes, I have Instagram, LinkedIn. On my Instagram, I am at Chef Matias Gabriel. And LinkedIn, people can connect with me in Matias Gabriel Moyano Ballester. I'm sorry, it's too large.
We will add it to the show notes.
Yes, people can connect with me, ask me question, ask anything. I am happy to help, answer everything. So I don't know, maybe someone wants to become a private chef, or maybe a client wants to hear something from me that would be very useful. I'm free here to offer my help and deliver good energy to everybody.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, FultonFishMarket.com, the best seafood in the nation, trusted by the best chefs in the world. Aside from offering premium seafood, they also make life easier for you by delivering all these outstanding products right to your doorstep. Visit the official website www.fultonfishmarket.com and explore the incredible selection of seafood and let your clients experience quality that has captivated palates for generations. Use code PRIVATECHEF at checkout to get 15% of your first order. When it comes to seafood, FultonFishMarket.com is the name we trust. Thank you for joining us at the Private Chef podcast. If you know any highly skilled chefs that want to take their life to the next level, make sure to share this podcast with them. And if you enjoyed this episode, click subscribe and check out our upcoming episodes. Thank you for listening.